everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the 10-7 MMA. I'm DS, and as always, I'm here with my guy, Dino Bam Bam.
What's up, Dino?
What's up, my dude?
Just vibing.
We're here today to cover just a gorgeous, beautiful UFC Fight Night card, and it's in Vegas.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in Shanghai.
I was going to say, you wouldn't know that, though.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that. There's 11 fights on the docket. Before we jump into
12
this,
fights.
12 fights.
Maybe 11.
Maybe 11, one potentially canceled. Before we jump right into it, though, into this amazing stacked card towards the end of the year, what else could they give us other than this? You know, what kind of main event is this?
A shitty one.
This is like, even for a fight night, it's
Do you remember we had like the Bobby Green main event, then we had one more that was kind of shitty after that. I don't remember what it was, but there was like that 2-week stretch.
Yep.
This is that, but at the end of the year, which sucks because after last week, UFC Fight Night Austin, I think.
Yeah, I feel like usually at the end of the year you get good cards. I don't know. But anyway, before we go any further, tell them what they can do and where they can find us.
Yep. If you guys are enjoying the content or have enjoyed our previous content or are hoping to enjoy our future content, click that little subscribe button, ring the little bell.
I'm hoping that they do too.
Ring the bell. That's the sound the bell makes, guys. You can also follow us on Instagram at the107MMA. That's not what the fucking bell does. No. What is this? I'm trying to get these guys to follow us. You're doing that shit?
Put a little bell on it.
Put a little bell on it. Follow us. Subscribe. Instagram. We have pictures with fighters and shit. We're also going to do a lot of content this next week. We have the last card of the year. We're going to do our end of the year recap. We're going to do our awards.
Yep.
A lot of cool shit. So subscribe. You won't want to miss it. Please. Or at least I hope you don't want to miss it.
Did we lost 2 subs? Last time it was like, I thought I saw 209 and then it said 207. What are we at now?
Brother, I haven't looked in a little bit, but hey, get us up, man. What is that?
Yeah.
You know?
BR
Anyway.
Viagra or Cialis, if that's more your druthers.
Shout out Cialis and Viagra. I'm looking for a sponsorship. Not saying I need that stuff yet.
Yep.
Just saying we might be getting there.
I got a little upper decker and I just want people to know if they see me doing shit with my lip. You know?
Shout out Zin. Zinichinos.
Yeah, that's right.
There it is.
Anyways. Yeah. Moving on, all right?
I guess, yeah.
First fight of the night.
Well, we should mention really quickly the fight that has supposedly been canceled, right?
Sure, yes.
So why don't you do that?
Sure. The fight that is supposedly canceled, according to Tapology, it's canceled, but it's still on SureDog, still on the UFC website, is Daniel Marcos versus Carlos Vera.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a fine fight, I guess. I would have taken Marcos in that.
Yeah, same.
If it's not happening. If it is happening, I'm taking Marcos.
Not the biggest fan of Marcos, but I think he would have got that one.
I'm not the biggest fan either, but I just think that the Brazilian guy is... Vera, I'm sorry. He's okay. He's all right on the feet. Marcos is the more crisp technical striker. I think he would put the pressure on him and just... I think it'd be a fairly one-sided fight, quite frankly.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. I would have taken him by knockout. For TKO, let's say.
Fair enough.
But let's move on to the fights that we know are actually happening. The first one, technically, of the night. We've got Rayanne Amanda.
Yeah.
Dos Santos, if you will. Yes.
If you will.
She's taking on Talita Alencar, making her UFC debut. She's only got, 5 fights under her belt?
Yeah, she's 4-0-1.
What do you think about this one?
All right, so Rayanne Amanda, as you mentioned, that's what, when you watch her, that's what she's known as.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the Dos Santos came out of nowhere, so
yep.
Shout out to that. But anyways, Rayanne Amanda, Brazilian veteran making her UFC debut here. She is a grappler. She's coming to us from Invicta. She's a decent striker. She has okay skills all around. She moves well. She seems pretty technical on the feet for what it's worth. She uses that striking, as we've seen, to get into the grappling, which is what a lot of these grapplers ultimately do. She does get a lot of wins by sub, 8 wins by submission, so she is pretty dangerous on the ground. Oftentimes, her takedown defense, Dino, is what gets her into dominant positions on the ground. For whatever reason, a lot of girls try to take her down, and her takedown defense being really good, she sprawls, she kind of gets the upper position, ends up finding a sub. That's pretty much her game. We also share a birthday, for what that's worth. So
that's cute.
Shout out my Gemini twin.
Yep.
All right. And then Alencar, she's undefeated, 4-0-1, as you mentioned. She has a draw on Dancing with the Stars, Dana White's Contender Series. That's the last time
I really don't like when they do that.
What,
when they still get signed and you didn't win, you didn't even win. You got a draw.
And if I remember correctly, there was another fight. I didn't watch the whole card in preparation for this, but if I remember correctly, on that card, there was another fight where somebody lost, but it was like an absolute war. Where I remember thinking both guys deserve to be in the UFC. They didn't take both guys,
right? And
but then ended up taking these two ladies. Anyways,
bullshit.
She is very experienced in the jiu-jitsu game. She has a lot of professional grappling.
She's a high-level black belt.
Yeah, she's been doing jiu-jitsu forever, so her experience is good there. She has good ground and pound. Her plan is to ultimately get on top, stay on top. She does a good job with control. On the feet, she's pretty bad. To be honest with you,
I agree.
Yeah, she's nothing special on the feet. Anyways, I'm going to take Dos Santos because Alencar doesn't have anything on the feet for me. And the thing we always say, right, the difference on the ground is smaller than the difference on the feet in this one.
Right.
It's pretty simple, so Dos Santos by decision.
You broke it down. I have the same thing. Rayanne Amanda by decision. She's a good kickboxer. She's well-rounded. She's much more well-rounded than Alencar. Alencar, much less experienced, too. Do you know, by the way, you're going to love this. Do you know who she's married to, Rayanne Amanda?
Giovanni Dos Santos.
No, our boy, Colton England.
Really?
Yep.
Shout out Colton England.
Yep.
What's up with him? He hasn't fought in a while, huh?
I don't know. I feel like he'll make it to the UFC.
He will get there.
I feel like he will get there.
We had Dennis Bazookia. We were thinking about Colton England. We still got to pick another guy. We haven't officially...
I like Colton England, man. I really do. And he got fucking scammed last time. Yeah. I hated that.
Yeah.
But that's his wife. They got married like a few months ago, I want to say. I follow him. After we discussed him the first time, I followed him on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, she looks hella familiar. Yeah. And then when I was watching her film, it was like her husband, Colton England. And I'm like, oh my God, that's right.
Really weird because she didn't take his last name. But then Ian Gary, he's just down, I don't know.
But yeah, man, listen. Like you said, you broke it down perfectly. I have really nothing else to add. For me, Alencar is not good on the feet. Rayanne Amanda, she fought, what's her name? Not Amanda Nunes, Jesus Christ.
Amanda Hebos. No, I'm just throwing Amandas out there now.
The tatted girl, she got fucking hella tats, neck tat and shit. Denise Gomes, I like
her.
She hits like a truck. She took some big shots, was able to survive. That was a pretty close fight. So, yeah, I'm going Rayanne Amanda. Fairly easy decision, but, could be a bit of a scrap. Moving on to the next fight of the night, we've got Tatsuro Taira taking on Carlos Hernandez at Flyweight. I expect this to be a pretty close fight. What are the odds on this one?
I'll pull up odds.
Okay. Hernandez, for me, it really comes down to he's pretty susceptible to submissions. Tatsuro Taira is very good on the ground. He's a really good wrestler. He's got good submission game. He's undefeated. He's super young. On the feet, I think it's fairly close. Hernandez is a really good boxer. Yeah. Tatsuro Taira, I believe, he's going to use his legs more than Hernandez will. Both of them are pretty decent on the feet. For me, the difference really comes in the wrestling. Hernandez is pretty good everywhere, but I think Tatsuro Taira is pretty much going to impose his will in terms of basically what he did to Gutierrez last time. I kind of see that same type of fight playing out, where fairly close on the feet, they're both landing some shots. Tatsuro Taira maybe still getting the best of them, and then eventually just getting a takedown and, not necessarily doing a ton of damage, just doing enough to get the win, basically. Yeah. I expect him to be fighting higher competition at this point. Not that Carlos Hernandez is not bad at all. So we'll see. I think it's going to be not like a super one-sided fight, but yeah, I'm going to go Tatsuro Taira by 30-27 decision in this one.
Okay, so you asked about the odds. Right now, at time of recording, Tatsuro Taira is a minus 550.
Oh my God, okay.
So the odds are a little crazy. But for what it's worth, as you said, Taira's undefeated, 23 years old. That's the reason he's not fighting that high level competition yet.
Sure.
Right? He's 23. I like the kid a lot. He's very, very skilled.
I'm sure they're happy to get him to 17-0. It sounds great.
That's what I'm saying. The UFC obviously does want to tap into the Japanese market, the Asian market in general. That's kind of what this card was originally built for anyways, right? Weird to see him this low on the card, to be honest with you.
Will it be? We'll see, but...
Will what be?
Is it going to be actually that low on the card?
Well, yeah,
probably.
I guess we don't know the official order of things yet, but yeah, pretty low on the card for me. Tatsuro Taira, I'm very impressed with the way this kid fights. The fight against Gutierrez, we were there live at UFC 290. He struggled. He was put in some bad situations. He almost lost that fight. Regardless, I do think he's going to be improving leaps and bounds. I second what you said. I think the difference on the ground is going to be pretty noticeable here. I'm taking Tatsuro Taira. I think a decision is very likely, but I can also see a late sub.
I could see a sub too. I was leaning, but I feel like I could see him playing it safe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Taira by sub. I'm gonna
it's like the zero factor when you're undefeated.
Yeah,
you might. It's like when you have a title, sometimes you get a little bit safe.
But you know what I love, Dino? I love when
these younger guys don't do it as much, though, I will say.
Absolutely. And I also love when these undefeated guys go through that tough fight. Like we had Hamzat with Gilbert Burns, right?
Yeah.
That's like the biggest example that comes to mind, at least recently.
You got Muhammad Mokaev going through.
Muhammad Mokaev went through a war. Was it with Tim Elliott? Or it was Malcolm Gordon was a tough fight for him.
Yeah.
I forgot who else. But yeah, when you get them to go through these tough fights and they don't lose their O, right? When they persevere through it, that's a big thing for me.
Yep.
That's a big thing for me. I'm going to trust Tatsuro Taira here. I am going to take him by sub late. Maybe late round 2, round 3. He's fringing on my guy. He's fringing on being a
He's
my
good,
boy.
man.
Yeah,
his haircut's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
but he's...
I mean, he looks like a 23-year-old Japanese kid. You know what I mean?
I know, but imagine if he got a nice taper. He'd look so good.
Let's get it.
Moving on to the next fight of the night, we've got Luana Santos taking out. She's 6-1 at bantamweight. Well, actually, she was not at bantamweight. She was just at atomweight, I want to say.
Luana Santos?
Or am I thinking of somebody? Or am I thinking of Amanda Rayanne?
Well, her last fight was in the UFC, and she did fight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was thinking about Rayanne Amanda.
Yeah.
Scratch that. But yeah, she's taking on Stephanie Egger. So 2 bigger girls. That was my mistake. I just got her confused with the other girl.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's at bantamweight. Luana Santos, Stephanie Egger. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, two very tall girls. Both rely on their judo. So kind of similar fighters.
Juan Soto signed with the Yankees officially, by the way.
Shout out Juan Soto. I was hoping the Cubs would make that move, but
Juan Soto, please.
I digress. I like that. Good. Juan Soto. Yes. Anyways, both taller ladies. They're very similar. They both like to use their judo, but Santos is 23. Stephanie Egger is 35. Look, last time out, Santos beat the shit out of y'all's girl, Juliana Miller.
I was wondering who was going to get this, and I knew whoever was going to refer to her as that.
It has to be mentioned. Look, good judo, good sub skills, good ground control. On the feet, she's mediocre.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is, but she's willing to get brawly as hell.
As hell.
Stephanie Egger, 35 years old, also a grappler, also big judo background. She does a lot of her work in the clinch against the cage.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie Egger loves doing that, dragging the fight down. She's very, very, very patient.
She's big as hell, too.
Yeah, she's very big for the weight class, but she's also very patient. Once she gets the fight to the ground, she's going to start looking for subs. On the feet, she has absolutely nothing. Last time out, she lost very quickly, so there wasn't too much to make of that fight.
Yeah.
To me, it's like these girls are very similar. I have to go with the younger one in Santos here. Santos by a very close decision.
Yep. Yeah, both women are judokas for what it's worth. So very interesting. Egger, obviously, more experience. She seems strong as hell. They're both really good grapplers. I guess Santos a little better on the feet, but neither of them are really on the, nothing special on the feet. Santos definitely a little bit better. But for me, man, I'm gonna take the plus money on Stephanie Egger here. I think it's gonna be a really close fight no matter what. But for me, I think Santos is gonna have the better career trajectory. I just don't think. I think this is kind of like a trap fight.
I get it.
In a way. You know what I mean? Stephanie Egger is a big lady. She's got a similar skill set. I could see her, doing a little bit more, being a little bit stronger on the ground and pulling out like a 29-27 close-ass decision.
I can see it, brother.
Yeah. Or even like a split decision, to be honest. So, moving on to the next fight of the night, we've got Melquizael Costa. Mel Costa taking on Steve Garcia. This fight was supposed to happen last week?
Yeah.
So we actually already broke it down, I want to say.
Yeah, we did.
So I'll just be brief here. Steve Garcia's big for the weight class. Mel Costa's big for the weight class. He's got good power, 14 KOs for Steve Garcia. I mean, he's got stiff punches, man. We've seen him get rocked and then come back and get crazy knockouts. He's got heart. Is the chin questionable? Maybe, and he's not like athletically the most gifted guy. For me, Mel Costa, he's young. He's got really nice heavy kicks. He does get a little bit excited at times, and he tends to get caught, Mm-hmm. For me, Costa just has better, let's say, a wider array of strikes, better kicks. I think he's got the better chin, too, for what it's worth. He's a little bit just more resilient overall physically. I expect the fight to stay on the feet for what it's worth. And for me, Mel being a southpaw, too, is going to work to his advantage. I think I could see a knockout. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go second round knockout on this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. I said it last week. I completely agree with everything.
I think I had a decision, but yeah, I think I've changed my mind. I could definitely see
it's a tough fight though.
It's not. Steve Garcia is a tough opponent. He gives everybody a tough fight. He's never out of it till he's out of it.
Exactly.
But Yeah, I just
and
think...
I said Costa has a chance. I'm sorry. Costa, I'm picking to win, to clarify.
Yes.
Garcia has a chance.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else on that one?
No.
Cool. Moving on.
I'm sick of talking about them.
I got you, man. No problem. Moving on. Next fight of the night is Hyunsung Park. He's undefeated. He's 8-0 in the flyweight division. He's taking on Shannon Ross.
The Turkish delight.
What the fuck, dude? Was he not cut? I could have sworn he was cut.
Yeah, I think they cut him and then re-signed him for...
He should have been cut. Why was he re-signed?
I don't know.
Anyways,
Hyunsung Park. Yep.
Yeah.
8-0, undefeated grappler. He is very, very one-dimensional. He is that guy. He wants to take you down. He wants to sub you on the feet. I guess he has okay power.
He's got power, yeah. He's got a little bit of power.
That's what I'm saying. He's got some pop.
And he's big. He's big for the division.
Yeah, he's a big grappler. He's looking for the sub. Decent pop on his shots, but he looks very uncomfortable on the feet. He is definitely like that one-dimensional, please let's get this shit to the ground. Let me sub you and let's finish this fight.
Yep.
That's who he is. On the other hand, we have Shannon Ross, for what it's worth, a lot of people would say one of the lower fighters on the UFC roster, to put it.
I mean,
to
put it lightly, dude.
To put it lightly, here's what I'm going to say about his game. He's decently well-rounded. He is brawly as hell. The grappling's okay. The striking's okay. His problem is his chin is kind of sus, and he's willing to bang it out.
It's very sus. All he does is get knocked out.
Right, and he's willing to bang it out. So a sub-UFC level guy, but very, very fun fighter for what that's worth. I'm nuts. I'm taking Shannon Ross here. I honestly think on the feet, he's the better fighter. I don't know that Park has the power to knock him out. Shannon Ross, decent takedown defense. Huge underdog here at plus 410. I think Shannon Ross has the power to put this kid down. We did see Park get dropped in his last fight, and he was very hurt. I think Shannon Ross might be able to do it. I understand that Park will probably win this fight, but at 410, I'm taking Shannon Ross.
I think you're insane, but yeah. I get the logic there. Yeah. But yeah, you said it all pretty much. I think he does have more power. I think you're underestimating him a little bit on the feet. I don't think he's the fucking worst guy. Are you making him sound right now? Okay. But no, Shannon Ross.
He just seems skittish, right? I'm sorry to cut you off. I was watching in preparation for next week. I was watching Colby Covington film today, and I was watching the Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal fight. Yeah. That was one of the fights that I saw today, and there were times in that fight where Colby Covington was very he was very skittish. He was very hesitant to approach George Masvidal, right?
But it's Shannon Ross. He's not gonna. You just call him George Masvidal. Shannon Ross is not gonna put the fear of God in this guy.
I understand. I understand that, but what I'm just saying is that it was similar to what I saw. It was similar to what I saw from Park. The fact that oftentimes moving back, very hesitant, very bitey on everything, and it's it seems like you don't want to he doesn't want to be there. Yeah. In the stand-up. And then once it gets to the ground, comfort, which is, again, similar to the Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington fight, something that's fresh in my mind. I know they don't compare as fighters, but that's kind of what I saw from Park.
I feel you. I mean, maybe I don't feel you, but I get what you're saying. I'm going to go with the early second-round TKO for Hyunsung Park. Mm-hmm. I don't think Shannon Ross, of all people, is going to be the one to take his O. Do I think Hyunsung Park is something special? No, I don't. But
Shout out his O's. Huh? Shout out his O's.
Right, easily.
Take his O.
But... That's right. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm going to go early second-round TKO. I think he does end up getting it to the ground and ends up just ground and pounding him for a TKO win.
Fine.
Moving on.
Yeah. Whatever.
Moving on to the next fight of the night. We've got Kenan Song, and he's taking on Kevin Jousset.
That's your boy.
Jousset?
That's your boy, right?
I would not say that he's my boy, but this is an interesting fight, man. So, Kenan Song, probably best known for being the guy that dropped the shit out of Ian Gary when it was supposed to be
Ian Machado.
Ian Machado, Gary, sorry. Yeah. I don't want to misname anybody. Don't want to misnomer anybody here on this particular show.
We don't do that.
We certainly don't. If we do, it's by accident. Lord knows. But Kenan, I mean, he's got some moves on the feet. He's got a little bit of power. For me, he's more of a counter puncher or counter striker than anything, though. He's a little hesitant. He kind of waits. He can be a little bit low output at times for me. Kevin Jousset is interesting, man, because, you watch him fight and you're like, man, this guy looks shredded. He's got the look. You expect him to be I don't know, be doing more on the feet. He's pretty good on the feet, but I don't know. I just expected to see a little bit more out of him, I guess.
He's also calm. They're both kind of calm.
Oh, they're so calm. And Kevin Jousset is crazy, though. This guy has looked in severe trouble many times, like a few of his fights that I've watched film on, and somehow he always finds a way out of it. So I kind of see that happening here. I would say Kenan Song might have more power than him, to be honest with you. It's kind of interesting. They're both pretty jacked, though. Both pretty big guys for the division. Jousset, I think, is going to have like a 3.5-inch reach advantage and 2 inches of height. So maybe that's something that'll factor into this. The fact that he's got a knack for surviving and has a nice jab, I think that jab, if he uses that, will be a good weapon. Really, I think what this fight boils down to for me is that whoever is going to win this fight, it's going to be a close fight, no matter what, for sure, in my opinion. No matter who it's going to be, the winner, in my opinion, is going to be the more aggressive fighter. Okay. Whoever is going to be more aggressive, more willing to go first. I see a very slow first round, and then I hope that after that, one of them is like, all right, I got to step it up. And I just think Jousset is more likely to be that guy. So I'm going to go Jousset by decision. Close fight, though. Okay,
so Song is always, like, he's always alive for a knockout, right? Like you mentioned, he does have that big one-shot power. I am agreeing with you, though. I'm taking Jousset, and for me, the difference is the wrestling. I think Kevin Jousset, he's
done judo since he was like 4.
Yeah. So I think
eventually... I'm sorry, I totally forgot to mention that point. Yeah. Like that's why I have you.
There it is, right? Hey, we work off each other.
That's right.
That's what this is.
That's right.
But yeah, I think the difference is going to be the grappling. He eventually wants to get the fight to the ground. That's the way
that would behoove him, for sure.
But both guys, as you said, very slow, very methodical fighters. But I think that that benefits Jousset here because it's a guy that isn't going to make him uncomfortable. It's a guy that isn't going to push the pace on him and not allow him to fight at the pace that he wants to. He's going to be able to fight at the pace he wants to. And Jousset is mostly a decision guy, whereas Song, we know he's kind of like a knockout or bust kind of dude.
Right.
And it's like for Jousset, if you don't have too much to worry about and you don't have to worry about the speed of this guy and like the activity of this guy, I think he's going to be able to work the wrestling. I'm going 30-27. I don't think it's going to be that close.
Okay.
Assuming Jousset avoids the one big shot, which is really what I think Song has.
I don't see him getting knocked out here. So especially because he's got that survivability factor.
Yep.
So moving on to the next fight of the night, we've got Junyong Park taking on Andre Muniz at middleweight. Very underrated guy, in my opinion.
Who?
Junyong Park.
Yeah.
Very underrated.
Yeah, he looks like a Ninja Turtle. He's out there. He's on like a 4 fight win streak.
He's always giving everybody good fights, but give me your breakdown on this one.
All right, so Park, 4 fights in a row, right? He is 4 fights in a row, 3 by sub, by the way. 3 in a row by sub, which is really damn impressive to be doing that in like a pretty good area of the rankings in the UFC.
Yep.
He is a grappler, but he's well-rounded. Again, I'm going to make a little bit of a comparison to Colby Covington, a guy that weaponizes pace.
Yeah.
Right? A guy that's weaponizing pace all the time. Really good cardio. He is that grappler that's going to wear on you. Doesn't necessarily have that one-shot power. That's kind of his game plan. He is a grinder. He is a dog. He's going to be coming forward at all times, and he's nonstop. And to me, that's his best attribute.
Is he ranked?
No. These guys are, I think, just outside the rankings.
Bullshit,
both
dude.
of them.
That's some fucking bullshit.
Yep.
If he wins this fight, he must be ranked.
Yeah. You're fighting a ranked guy. You know what I'm saying?
You must be. Yeah. Like, come on.
And then we have Andre Muniz, as we know, filthy jiu-jitsu. That's his specialty. He's not one of those like desperate jiu-jitsu guys, though, that's like on the ground, pulling guard, butt scooting. Maybe he should be. On the feet, he is okay. Everything about his game is okay except for the jiu-jitsu. That's, as we know, like an elite. Right?
Yeah.
It's an elite level. He's on a 2-fight losing streak right now against 2 killers in Brendan Allen and Paul Craig. I don't know if Paul Craig's a killer, but
sure.
For what it's worth, both guys are jiu-jitsu guys. Both guys weren't afraid of going to the ground with him. Both guys ended up winning the fight on the ground.
Right.
For what that's worth with Andre Muniz. I feel like Andre Muniz is a guy that never reached that potential that a lot of fans thought he would get to. Regardless.
That's literally what I've written down here is like I've here written down Muniz has really disappointed me lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I just genuinely thought, and I know those are good fighters, especially Brendan Allen.
Of course.
But I just thought he would be like, okay, when he first came onto the scene, I was like, oh shit. This guy's like decent on the feet, amazing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He's not that old. Like, this guy's going to be a problem in this division where there's not that many people that can defend that jiu-jitsu like that.
Right, exactly.
And then it turns out he's just not that. He's not what I thought he was. I'm not saying he's bad,
No, he's not. He's obviously a good fighter.
He's a good fighter, but he's just not quite what I thought he was going to be.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, so I'm taking Park. I think he has less of that quit in him. And I hate saying that a guy has quit in him in the UFC because, as you always say, your line, I'm just a guy sitting on his ass, right?
Yeah, no, and like, that's so true.
But it is what it is.
But I mean, this is what you've been doing. You watch the film, like, right? Like, you're not making shit up.
I'm saying. So I think he has a little bit more quit in him. Maybe it's controversial, but I feel like Park is going to get this to the ground. We're going to get another finish on the ground of Andre Muniz. This time, I think it will be a TKO. I'll go late second round, early third. I think he's going to wear Muniz down. And then once shit gets tough and Park's on top, dropping that ground and pound, I think he'll just kind of ball up, and that'll be that.
Yeah. See, for me, first of all, the odds are interesting. I think last time I checked, Junyong Park was a minus 220 favorite. That's kind of crazy, dude.
It's down now to minus 160.
Okay. Still.
Yeah.
When I saw this, I'm like, when I first saw this fight was
175.
Minus 175.
Yeah.
When I first saw this though, like the fight made, I was like, Junyong Park's gonna be the underdog, and I'm taking him at plus money, like for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would still take him, and I will. I do think he's gonna win this fight. Like I said, I think he's one of the more underrated fighters in the entire promotion. He gives everybody a tough fight. He's never out of it. If you're listen, there is not that's a guy that doesn't put on boring fights, right? And if you look at his losses, they're to like top end fighters. Was it Gregory Rodriguez and Fluffy Hernandez? I want to say, like those are top level fighters, right? In the weight class. So Muniz, like I said, man, has been kind of disappointing lately. Like I said, he's not a bad fighter. For me, Junyong Park is just better on the feet, man. And the jiu-jitsu, first of all, Junyong Park has really good takedown defense.
Very.
So I think Andre Muniz is going to have a hard time taking him down. I see a third round TKO against the fence. Muniz is getting tired. They're grappling. And then, like you said, that's where that no quit factor comes in. Yeah. Junyong Park just lacing him on the feet, landing big shots against the fence. The ref eventually stepping into the third round to call it for the TKO victory for him.
I like it.
Moving on to the next fight of the night, we've got Nasrat Haqparast, and he is taking on Jamie Mullarkey. This is an interesting fight for me, man. Because
really quickly, toughest fight for me to call on this card.
Really?
Yeah, toughest fight for me to call on this card.
I would say the next one is actually the toughest fight for me to call. This one, I feel fairly confident that Nasrat Haqparast is going to get the win here. Yeah. Maybe I'm overstating it a little bit. I don't like how he sometimes fights down to his opponents, I've noticed. Mm-hmm. This is another guy I had pretty high hopes for. His boxing is really good, and for me, that's going to be the difference in this one. Nasrat Haqparast has won some decent fights in his career. Jamie Mullarkey has some wins, in his past too. Against what's his name? Who knocked out Dustin Poirier? Black dude. Why am I tweaking? Michael Johnson. But yeah, I mean, for me, the striking is going to be the difference. Mullarkey does have a 2-inch reach advantage. If it hits the ground, I mean, I think on paper, technically, Mullarkey does have the advantage here. I think Nasrat Haqparast boxing is really crisp, man. He's got really good hands, and he's got good power. Jamie Mullarkey has looked kind of shaky a little bit lately. I don't think he's quite that good, to be honest with you. He didn't look great in the McDessie fight, and McDessie was like 40 years old at that point. Did you just rip your vape?
No. I was yawning. My vape's over here.
McDessie was like 40 years old at the time. Damn.
I ain't worried about it. We're not monetized.
You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's just gonna put the pressure on him, and Jamie Mullarkey is eventually gonna fold. I'm gonna go Nasrat Haqparast by like a second round TKO.
Cool.
I'm gonna rip it. Fuck it.
I get it. I get what you're saying. Here's my thought process on this. To me, they're both very similar guys, right? They're both pretty damn young. I think they're like 28 and 29, something along those lines. They've both been around in the UFC for like a hot minute at this point.
Yeah.
Sometimes they've both looked very good, and at times they've both looked very bad. To me, again, both of these guys are kind of like disappointments. They both could be, or should, in my opinion, they should be further along than they are right now.
I agree.
Yeah, a lot of hype for both of these dudes. But anyways, Nasrat Haqparast, yes, I think he is the better striker of the two. I think Mullarkey is a little bit of a better grappler. I've been kind of leaning Nasrat Haqparast this whole week, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go Nasrat Haqparast by decision. But the odds being minus 200, I'm not comfortable betting on this fight. If I am gonna bet this fight, which I don't think I am, I would bet on Mullarkey. But for what it's worth, I'm taking Haqparast by decision.
All right. So far, we've disagreed only on
one fight.
Luana Santos Edgar.
No, we agreed on that, didn't we? Oh no, you took Edgar. We disagreed twice. I took Shannon Ross as well.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane. Okay, cool. Moving on to the co-main event, and it's Tim Elliott stepping in on 5 days' notice. He just fought 6 weeks ago across the freaking world.
Yeah.
And
UFC Tim Elliott, baby.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. And I mean, shit, man. His record does not tell you how good he is. Tim Elliott's really good. So it's Tim Elliott taking on Sumudaerji. What do you think about this fight? This is a low-key banger.
I love this fight. I think a lot about this fight, okay? You ready?
Yeah.
Tim Elliott. As we know, Tim Elliott, he's a super, super scrappy, awkward fighter. He's a veteran, tons of experience. As you said, he's taking this on short notice. Tim Elliott has fought every single person ever in this division.
Yeah, literally.
Literally, right? You ready for this? John Dodson, Mighty Mouse, Joe Benavidez, Figgy, Oscar Askarov, Brandon Royval, Mateus Nicolau, Muhammad Makayev.
Mm-hmm.
And a grappling match against Patchy Mix,
yeah.
for what that's worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
He lost every one of those.
Yeah.
He lost every one. I love Tim Elliott. Absolutely my boy. He lost every one of those. But then, Dino, he's literally beat every other person.
Yeah.
So if you're not the cream of the crop of this division, historically, if you're not one of those dudes, Tim Elliott's beating your ass. The question here is Sumudaerji that level?
Sumudaerji was just ranked as recently as 2022. He was ranked 12th.
Okay, so is he that level of guy? Is he those guys? I don't know. We're going to see, right? Tim Elliott, the quintessential gatekeeper.
36 years old.
And the gatekeeper of 125.
Yes.
Sumudaerji on the other hand.
He's the Jim Miller of this weight class.
I love it. Sumudaerji on the other hand, he's coming off of a 1.5-year layoff.
Yep.
It has been a long damn time since
Still only 27.
Very young. He's a striker. He is very fast. He has great footwork, great distance management. He lost his last fight 1.5 years ago to Matt Schnell. Before that, he was on a 3-fight winning streak, so pretty damn impressive. Not the best competition. It was like Zaruk Adeshev. It was like Malcolm Gordon. This is a big step up in competition for him, so this is his toughest matchup to date. To me, this is a young striker versus an older grappler at the end of the day.
At the core of it, it's that.
Yeah, young guy versus a vet. I worry about Tim Elliott taking this fight on very short notice, but at the end of the day, he is a veteran. He's been in these kind of situations. I don't know that he necessarily needs a full camp for this fight.
He actually was on record not too long ago, I think before his last fight, saying how he's 36 years old now.
Yeah.
He is more cognizant of taking care of his body, not overtraining, things like that. So
yeah,
take that for what you will.
Take that for what you will. So I don't know that he needs the full camp. They do have an opponent in common. They both have fought that piece of shit, Luis Smolka.
I have that written down.
Yeah.
Your boy, Luis Smolka. I have that written down.
So they both fought the piece of shit, Luis Smolka.
We have no ops except Luis Smolka, apparently.
Legit.
So
Sumudaerji lost to piece of shit Luis Smolka. Tim Elliott beat piece of shit Luis Smolka. I'm picking Tim Elliott. I don't fucking know. Tim Elliott by decision.
Yeah, this is like I told you just minutes ago. To me, this is the hardest fight to call in the card because if it was a full camp, not short notice, didn't just take it was a tough fight, man, 6 weeks ago. So if he didn't just go through that and deal with all this bullshit and fight across the world, and now he's cutting weight again, 36 years old, just 6
They're
weeks
doing
ago.
it at 35, by the way.
That's right.
At 35.
Okay, that's right. But still, it's a grappler versus a striker, right? So is Elliott going to be able to take him down? But even if he does, man, for me, now look, this is a tough. I would not bet this fight. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay.
Sumudaerji, if it was the Sumudaerji we saw last time out, and fighting a full camp Tim Elliott, that'd be very interesting. I'd love to see that. But for me, I'm going to take the plus money on Sumudaerji on this one.
I get it.
5 days notice for Tim Elliott. Dangerous striker in Sumudaerji. Still young. I don't think he was sitting on his ass for 1.5 years. So, also, he's like weird to grapple. He's so skinny and long. Like you can't get like a grasp on this guy. So, I see a tough fight. I think this could potentially be fight of the night, to be honest with you. I'm going to go Sumudaerji in a really close fight, inching out the decision at the end.
Fair. I just want to let you know, though, then you're putting Sumudaerji in like some high...
Tim Elliott hasn't taken many fights 6 weeks after taking a lot of damage and 5 days notice at 36 years old.
I can definitely see him winning. But I'm just saying.
Like I said, what did I say? This is literally the toughest fight for me to call on the card.
Yeah.
So I went back and forth. When I first saw it, I was like Tim Elliott for sure.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. And then after I looked into the film and reminded myself of how fast and how good of a striker Sumudaerji actually is, I'm 50-50 on this. Like straight up 50-50 on it. So
you're just taking the young guy.
I'm just gonna take the young guy here.
Young guy.
If it was if the only difference was exactly. Yeah. If the only difference was Tim Elliott on a full camp, I'm taking Tim Elliott. So for the record.
Fair.
Moving on to the main event of the evening, we've got
the co-main
the co-main event. I'm sorry, I hate Sherdog.
Shout out to Tapology.
Shout out to Tapology. Sherdog sucks. Anthony Smith on somewhat short notice taking on Khalil Rountree. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, week and a half notice, almost 2 weeks notice, yeah, something like that. I just wanted to ask you, what do they drink? Let's start with that. This is like a good one for what do they drink.
Khalil Rountree definitely drinks whiskey.
Yeah, I feel that.
He gives me
like
he's classy as fuck. He's like well spoken. He might drink scotch, dude.
He's like smooth.
He drinks scotch.
Yeah. You know. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I feel that. Okay. Shout out Charles. Is that what you were doing there?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was. Yeah, I'm gonna go with.
What about Anthony Lionheart? What does he drink? Anthony Lionheart Smith. He also be lying. Maybe that's what the lying is. Like Anthony Lionheart Smith.
You touching my family.
Right. It's like family. He might be fucking going crazy.
He might be.
But
he's had 55 fights.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like he drinks beer.
Okay.
Or maybe even he'll probably beer.
I don't know, man. I don't like that one, but I'll take your word for it.
Maybe not though. What do you think? Talk to me.
By the way, his birthday, July 26th.
Wow.
It's like right there.
It's right there.
Yeah. I don't know what Anthony Smith drinks. That's why you're the guy that does this. I'm asking you. This is your whole fucking game.
Ugh, I feel like he doesn't. Okay. To be honest with you.
Fine.
You know?
I accept it.
Nothing's coming to me. Usually I look at their little faces and I'm like,
you figure it out.
Oh, and then I figure it out. So
okay, so let's break down the fight then.
Yeah. Tell me.
You tell me.
You tell me.
All right, I'll tell you. All right, Anthony Smith. We know everything we got to know about Anthony Smith, right? He's a veteran. He's been in here 5,000 times in the cage. He's well-rounded. He's a tough-ass dude for what it's worth. He's kind of settling into a role of being the gatekeeper of this division. I thought you were going to say he's kind of sus. No, I wouldn't say that. He's settling into being that gatekeeper at 205. What's wrong with that?
Gatekeeper.
So anyways, Anthony Smith, no matter what happens, I don't think Anthony Smith ever gets back towards that title shot that he had.
Never. Do you think Khalil Rountree talks shit about his family?
No. Khalil Rountree seems like he's a very nice guy when you see him in interviews. From everyone that deals with him, they say he's a great guy, but he's a mean motherfucker in that cage. When that octagon door closes, he is one of the most violent, aggressive fucking human beings I've ever seen.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he's aggressive.
The change in demeanor is like the cognitive dissonance between who he is
It's wild.
And in interviews and shit, and
he's talking about
anti-bullying and shit, mental health, and then
you want to kick this guy's fucking
kicking
leg
his knee in
through his fucking shoulder or some shit. I don't know. Anyways, he's aggressive as hell. He's a Muay Thai guy. He's a striker that throws big fucking power. He's not looking for takedowns. He's not looking for any of that shit. You're also not taking him down. If you're trying to take him down, that's not happening. He has really good takedown defense.
Does. He has really good takedown defense.
Yeah, this dude is scary as fuck. Khalil Rountree is not the guy you want to run into and fight in a fucking alley or something.
No.
My thought process.
I'm built different, though.
Khalil Rountree is very good at being the hammer. Mm-hmm. When he struggles, he's the one being the nail, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of the game here. My thought process on it is pretty damn simple. I don't know if I'm right, but I know that it's pretty damn simple. I think Anthony Smith is on the decline in his career right now. Even though we just saw him beat Ryan Superman Spann last time, I think Rountree is on his way up in this division. He's very fast. He's very explosive. Smith is the gatekeeper of this division. But Anthony Smith's last 6 losses in his career have been to Johnny Walker, John Jones, Thiago Santos, Glover, Alexander Rakic. Guys of that level, like I was saying with Tim Elliott. I don't know that Khalil Rountree is that level, and I don't know if Anthony Smith has regressed enough to lose to a guy like Khalil Rountree. I know it's short notice. I'm sticking with Anthony Smith by decision, but I can totally see this being like a changing of the guard, and it's over for Anthony Smith.
Yeah, I think the short notice is going to be a factor in this.
Yeah,
and Anthony Smith, I mean, you're absolutely right. If Anthony Smith, and I can see it, if he comes out aggressive and puts on the pressure and starts hitting Khalil Rountree and actually landing some shots and gets his respect off the bat, it's going to be a problem. If that's how the first round starts and goes,
Yeah, it's over.
that's going to be a problem. And absolutely, I see Anthony Smith winning it. Also, if it does get to the ground, Anthony Smith is by far the better fighter.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to be tough to get it there. For me, I just think Khalil Rountree really, really wants it. And his leg kicks and his body kicks are so fucking brutal.
So aggressive, dude.
And I just think he's going to... And Anthony Smith is pretty susceptible to leg kicks, man.
Very.
So for me, I think that is really going to be the key in this fight. I see a second round KO, like an actual like out cold KO.
Damn.
Works his legs, beats up on the legs. Now again, if the first half of the first round goes with Anthony Smith, because sometimes he comes out like that. Sometimes he comes out super aggressive. And if you're not like top level, like you said, or if you can't have the balls to sit there and take the first, whatever, and you let him, like, you gotta, like, Khalil Rountree has to land on him in the first 2 minutes hard and get that respect. And if I'm Khalil Rountree, I'm going out, I'm beating up that leg immediately.
Here's my thought process. Like, Khalil Rountree is not like, okay, he's fought some good guys, right? He fought Kutalaba, he's fought Johnny Walker. He loses to those guys.
Khalil Rountree will never be as good as Anthony Smith was.
Obviously not. Obviously
even close.
not. And then the Dustin Jacoby fight was like, it was sus. I think Dustin Jacoby won that fight.
Yeah.
They gave it to Rountree, but it's like, dude.
And Dustin Jacoby,
you're struggling with Dustin
not
Jacoby,
that good.
right? As we've learned recently, like, you're struggling with Jacoby, man. I don't know. Anthony Smith is good, dude.
he is. I just think it's not a good matchup. I just think it's a bad matchup.
I get it.
So that's really what it is for me. I think for Khalil Rountree, if you want to put Khalil Rountree up, this is a perfect matchup for him. If he loses this,
what's his cap? If he beats Anthony Smith, he loses after that, right?
He loses the next fight.
He's losing to all those guys, Ankalaev and Johnny Walker and Rakic and
it's
Jan Blachowicz.
They're a tier above.
Yeah.
They're a tier above.
Yeah.
Anthony Smith if it was again, same kind of thing. If it was a full camp Anthony Smith, and if it was last year, I think I feel differently, and it's not really that close.
Do you think Ryan Spann beats Khalil Rountree? If they were to fight?
That's a good damn fight, man.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a real good fight. Ryan Spann disappointed me really badly last time.
Very.
So, I don't know. Now, in this moment, I feel Khalil Rountree wins that.
Fair.
But I think that's his cap.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I'm gonna go second round TKO, but it's a really, really, really close one. And again, if the first round is gonna dictate this fight, in my opinion. So if you have a bet one way or another, wait to see how the first round goes. There's maybe money to be made on a live bet here.
I get it.
So moving on to the main event of the evening,
Sponsored by Zen, right?
Yeah, I was like,
shout out somebody.
It might be used, right?
It
could
might
be
be
Bennigan's.
Let's go. Shout out Coach Tate.
I wonder if he knows that we're doing this. We should hit him up, let him know.
Why? What was he gonna do for us?
Just to be nice. Look at these two guys.
Right. I guess.
We got Song Yadong taking on Chris Gutierrez. Very weird, very fucking weird fight. Why is this fight happening? And
I mean, look, they needed an Asian fighter in the main event.
Song Yadong.
Yeah, they needed a Chinese fighter. I think originally they wanted to put Wei Li in the main event spot. I think when that didn't happen, they ended up moving this card to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was. And Song Yadong, Chris Gutierrez in China would have been a good co-main.
Yeah,
for a fight night.
Co-main, sure.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a good fight. Chris Gutierrez is a good fighter, right? For me, it's just Song Yadong is a tier and a half above. For me, he's got so much power. Chris Gutierrez is not going to take Song Yadong down and work him on the ground. So it's going to be a stand-up fight. Chris Gutierrez has a little bit of a height and reach advantage. That's fine. Song is much younger. He's much more athletic. He's got way more power. He might have the most power in the division. I would say that as far as punching power goes, he's at the top of the division. He's the top 1 or 2 at least. He's fought way better opponents. He's younger and fought better opponents. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For me, this is not that close. In terms of how confident I am, I'm very confident that Song Yadong is going to win this. I don't think he'll get the finish. Chris Gutierrez is really tough. I could see a knockout. I absolutely could. But I'm going to go unanimous decision for Song Yadong here. I'm not disrespecting Chris Gutierrez. He's a good fighter. But Song's super powerful, high-level striker. He's a more technical striker. His boxing is unbelievable. It's going to be a good fight. But, yeah, I'm going to go Song Yadong. I almost went KO, but I'm going to go unanimous decision.
Okay, so I'll just echo some of the stuff you were saying. Song Yadong, I do love his striking style. It's fun. It's pretty flashy. It's fast. It's powerful. The kid is really damn explosive. We also saw in the Ricky Simone fight that he's not afraid of the ground game.
No, he's not.
He's not maybe quite as refined as some of these guys at Bantamweight in the ground game, but he's not afraid of it. Gutierrez, he's also a striker. Great kicks, really nasty leg kicks. He often that's how he wins his fights, right? He kind of just utilizes the leg kick until it hinders his opponents, and then he goes out and does what he does. I think this whole fight, Dino, takes place on the feet. I think for Gutierrez, the only way he wins this fight is if he tears up Song Yadong's legs, and then he's able to do damage.
He's not gonna do that. Bro.
I agree.
What are the odds on this one?
They're bad. I agree with you, but I'm just saying that's his road to victory. If he wants to win this fight, which I'm sure he does, it's minus
I'm sure
380.
Okay,
is what I'm seeing. Minus 380 to plus 300. I think that's the way that Gutierrez wins this fight. If he does win this fight, I don't think that's what's going to happen, though. I'm taking the age, the power, the speed. I even think there's a grappling advantage. All of that stuff is on Song Yadong's side here. I think in a 5-rounder, what we're going to see is Gutierrez start to slow down. His first UFC main event here. As this fight settles in, I think Gutierrez is going to start getting pieced up, and I can see a finish coming in the 3rd round. So I'm going 3rd round TKO up against the cage. It is contingent, though, on Song Yadong not losing the ability to move forward with the leg kicks. Yeah. If his legs do get chopped up, I can see it being a decision. Don't love this card in general. Not a very fun card.
It's not a great card.
It's starting kind of late. It's like a regular time card. The main card is at 9 Central. Wish this was one of those like earlier on in the day cards. On a Saturday, we could have had a lot of fun. If that was the case, we could have done something at night. But here we are going to be sitting here at midnight waiting for fucking Chris Gutierrez and Song Yadong. You know?
You down?
I mean, I'm going to watch it because that's what the fuck I do. That's all I have.
You want to go to the casino?
Do I want to go to the casino? I
want to. Watch it from there?
Potentially. We could talk about
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we could talk about that. Anyway, so anything else on this card?
Certainly not.
All right. So, guys, thank God that's over. Now we make it through Saturday. There's some decent fights on the card. We're overplaying it. It's an okay card. But next week, absolute banger. The final fucking card of the year, Dino. UFC 296. 2 title fights. Leon Edwards, Colby Covington. Should be fun as hell.
I can't wait for the press conference.
Going to be unreal. Pantoja Royval 2. Shafkat and Wonderboy. Tony and Patty. Ian Gary, of course, versus Vicente Luque. Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell.
Can't wait to hear Ian Gary talk, whether he wins or loses.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Sean Strickland and him got into it, by the way.
Yeah. I saw them. I saw that. Also, Cody No Love on the card. Okay? King Casey O'Neill. Randy Rude Boy, our boy, Brown. Fun-ass card. So I'm excited to cover that. I'm also excited to do the end-of-the-year shit we're doing.
Absolutely.
The review, the end-of-the-year awards. Have you been thinking about some of those awards? Do you know what you're going to be giving
I was looking back at our mid-year review. So review. I have a bottom lipper now. So I'm excited about it. I have no idea who I'm actually going to end up picking, but
it's a fun time of the year.
Absolutely.
We're going to be putting out a shit ton of content, guys. So if you guys want to see that content, I promise you, it's more fun than these long ass ones.
It is.
So if you made it, first of all, if you made it through all this,
nobody makes it this far.
Nobody makes it this far. We have the analytics, but if you're one of the people that made it this far and you haven't clicked the subscribe button, shame on you.
I'm sure
legit, because like, what the fuck is that?
No, I'm sure they have.
He's sure you guys have. I'm not so sure. So if you haven't, do it. Ring the fucking bell. Do all that. Also, Instagram, follow us there, the107MMA. Guys, he is DS. Do you have anything more to say?
No.
I am Dino Bam Bam. I have no more to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.